All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I just wanted to give you guys another update here on Flex Lewis's retirement from the 212 division Olympia. So essentially, it looks like he is going to be doing the men's open bodybuilding division, and this is coming directly from his coach, Neil Yoda Hill. So on Neil Hill's Instagram, he posted his own post shortly after Flex Lewis announced on his Instagram that he was retiring from 212. So this is what Neil Yoda Hill had to say about Flex Lewis's retirement. He said, so 2018 will be Flex Lewis's last year competing as a 212 athlete. He's defended that title from day one, where he became the first ever 212 Mr. Olympia. He's endlessly traveled the world, competing in different 212 shows, and he's also traveled the world relentlessly, giving back to all the fans, athletes, promoters, and the sport as a whole. Yes, this will be his last 212 outing come September in Las Vegas, but he will be back at some point as a new reformed open class bodybuilder at some point, possibly 2020. But whenever it is, maybe you will see a new level of quality, size, and muscle that will allow him to finally be competitive in the open class division. Evolution is what life is all about. So there you have it. When I read Flex Lewis's post, it sounded to me like he was done with competitive bodybuilding in general. He made some very specific points about Dallas McCarver's death kind of influencing him and contributing to his depression a little bit. He talked about his family, and of course I mentioned his businesses. So it seemed to me, based on Flex's post, this was kind of a definitive retirement statement, saying he was done with bodybuilding due to all these factors. But it appears he is going to do the men's open class according to his coach. So here's what I think about this. So Flex Lewis, I think he actually would have a good shot as a men's open bodybuilder. Even though he goes and competes in the 212 division, that doesn't mean this guy's a 212-pound bodybuilder. So when he weighs in at 212 pounds before that Mr. Olympia, that's just the weight that he depletes himself down to make the weigh-ins. I'd be willing to bet that by the time he carbs up and fills out and steps on stage, Flex Lewis is every bit of a 225-pound, possibly close to 230-pound bodybuilder by the time he gets to the stage. So I would say his stage weight is definitely in the 220s. So, looking at that, there's a lot of bodybuilders in men's open that are 230 and 240-pound bodybuilders. So the fact that Flex Lewis has been training all these years specifically with making that weight limit in mind, so it's constantly in the back of his mind that he has to get back down to 212, so he never really gets that big in the offseason. So with this new ability for him to get as big as he wants, I could certainly see Flex being, from a muscle mass standpoint, competitive with the men's open guys. Just because he's shorter doesn't necessarily mean he couldn't put on enough muscle to be competitive, and that is evidenced with a guy like William Bonac placing third at the 2017 Mr. Olympia, or a guy like William Bonac winning the Arnold Classic in the men's open division. So William Bonac is a perfect example, I think, of what Flex Lewis could possibly do if he did decide to pursue men's open bodybuilding. And this is a guy that is a 6-time 212 Mr. Olympia, so I think it's certainly within the realm of possibility that he could put that muscle on. And then the coach, Neil saying that he's going to wait till 2020, that's also interesting, because that could appear that Flex Lewis is waiting for Phil Heath to be done. You would think within the next 2 or 3 years, Phil Heath would probably be done competing, and that would leave the door open for a new Mr. Olympia, for a new standard, a new champion. And that would be Flex's opportunity to really make a statement. If he could come in and win the men's open Mr. Olympia, assuming he wins in 2017 the 212 title, a 7-time 212 champion coming to the men's open Mr. Olympia, and even placing top 6 or top 10 would be impressive. But could you guys imagine if he won the men's open Mr. Olympia? I mean, imagine that lineup. I mean, honestly, in about 3 years, with Phil Heath gone, Flex Lewis is still a very young guy, so he would still probably be in his prime in about 3 years if he put on the muscle and, kind of waited it out. You would maybe have Big Ramy, which would be a hard guy for him to beat. But other than that, from a proportion standpoint, from a balance standpoint, Flex Lewis is just a very complete bodybuilder, and I think he could beat a lot of these men's open guys, and it's not really going to be an issue of, these guys are outsizing him, because he's really not that small of a guy. He's just short. That doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't have the muscle mass to compete with these guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think Flex Lewis could be competitive in the men's open bodybuilding class? And do you think that's his plan, to actually compete in the men's open bodybuilding class? So let me know in the comment section below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.